Hi, my name is Lizx and this is my astrological look at this week. This is the week starting 29th of June 2020, the week of the second Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. This is with the planets retrograde, and it's also the week of a lunar eclipse on Sunday, a week today. So Jupiter and Pluto meeting up again in Capricorn, and also we're seeing this week Saturn moving back into Capricorn, and Mars is now of course in Aries. So we can see that Mars's role is starting to come to the foreground because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So all these planets now in Capricorn exalt Mars. So Mars you could see as direct action, vocal, angry, rebellious. So the energy is much more psyched up now. It's much hotter in a way, if you like, and there's much more anger there, much more that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction as well is second. There will be another one taking place near the election in November. That is the final one. So Jupiter-Pluto, we could think of things like attainment of power, whether it be physical, material, or emotional, or spiritual. There's very much that sort of Jupiter and Capricorn. This is almost a sort of the opposite of what Jupiter wants to expand, wants to be optimistic. I mean, the signs it rules, Sagittarius, Pisces. It's a kind of a positive energy. It's Jupiter is what binds us together in a great way, like whether it be going to see a football match or whether it go to a theatre. It's all these kind of social things that we enjoy that glue us together. And it still has that function when it's in Capricorn. But what is binding us together now is much more this narrative, this Saturn-Pluto narrative of shutdown, of fear, of anxiety, fear of death, if you like. So Jupiter's still bigging that theme up. It's still kind of playing into very basic, life or death sort of things. That's what's the glue at the moment that's holding us together. The figures of how many corona deaths there are, or another favourite Jupiter-Pluto kind of narrative, if we wind back to the Jupiter-Pluto period when they were both in the same sign, Capricorn, in 2008. It was this fear of the economy, fear of, whether we're still going to be able to pay the bills, where the next buck is coming from or where the next euro is coming from, those kind of very fundamental things. That is what is binding the society together at the moment. Although on a personal level, you could say the theme is certainly when Saturn gets back there, that theme of time to grow up, time to take responsibility for your own life, time as well to sort of, whereas Saturn in Aquarius, because Saturn moves back into Capricorn on Thursday, we saw Saturn moving into Aquarius just as all these new rules were coming into effect in the collective. The sort of lockdown rules, they were all coming in, the social distancing rules, these new rules for society were very much Saturn in Aquarius in March. But now Saturn is back in Capricorn, so it's much more about, I think, finding your own personal agency, finding your own personal borders. Where do you feel comfortable? We're allowed to fly soon, we're allowed to do this, that and the other, but what do you feel safe with? Deciding for yourself, because a lot of people are still shielding, a lot of people don't want to make use of the liberties that they've been given, because there is still very much this sort of Jupiter-Pluto narrative again, this fear narrative, the fear of a new wave which will come in, in November. So we're not done with it all yet, but I think the responsibility becomes much more personal, a personal responsibility, when the society rules start to slacken and we're thrown back onto ourselves with Saturn in Capricorn. So a lot of, I say that Jupiter expansive, wants to sort of bring us together in joyful ways, is now meeting this restrictive winter sign Capricorn. So it's kind of like, in a way, these opposing forces, all these opposing forces have to be incubated as well in ourselves. That's the alchemical side of it, so that something certainly, we don't know collectively, but certainly on a personal level, we need to find something to bring out of this something new which rises above, all of the, like holding that conflict in psychic utero, if you like, so long enough so something new can come out of it, the attainment of power on a personal level, and also an emotional and a spiritual level. I am the one who, and look at the house and use the energy and the themes of that house and empower. I am the one who can, whatever, based around the themes relating to your own chart. Wednesday is another interesting day this week when we get Mercury sextile Uranus, Sun sextile Uranus, all bundling round the Sun-Mercury conjunction as well in Cancer, Mercury retrograde in cazimi here. My first thought was a secret connivance. You can almost hear something being whispered in the ear of the king here. Some kind of new message is coming out, some kind of new, maybe something, certainly Uranus being a planet that's connected to liberation and space and, claiming more space. We can, I think, certainly in Europe, expect to see some further loosening of the lockdown rules. It seems very much in line with that sort of Uranus sextile the Sun. But we still, when Saturn the next day moves back into Capricorn, we have to deal with the situation and the fear that has been created. How, as I say, people are not everyone is going to feel happy with, any kind of relaxation that is given. So it's kind of a strange mix there. And then we come in to the lunar eclipse on Sunday, which is interesting because we've had the moon in Capricorn squaring Mars opposite Mercury. So the moon in Capricorn as well. It's definitely can be a quite fearful moon. The moon is here as well in sign of detriment. So I kind of thought, it might be interesting to look at the Sabian symbol for that sign. And I'm looking here at the Dane Ruddier one. And he sort of says, that the main image is of an ancient bas relief carved in granite, which remains a witness to a long forgotten culture. So the keynote, he says, is the will to unearth in our culture, as well as in any culture, what has permanent value, and to let go of non-essentials. And getting back, he goes on to sort of say, we strive to, striving to free ideals from the wild growth of personal and class selfishness, from the greed and ambition so prevalent in human nature, and to learn to appreciate the excellence of what is the immortal, the spiritual harvest of any culture. So I don't know if you find anything of personal resonance in that. I certainly do. This eclipse falls on my own Mercury. So it's about a deep appreciation of things, I think, of what has true and lasting value. And I think for us, in terms of Mars in Aries, the idea of the spiritual warrior, the idea of attainment, I think it's about finding our own power and finding our own agency and what feels right and what works for us as Saturn moves back into Capricorn. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week. Bye.